Welcome to the America 250 PA Start Here, America Did podcast, telling the unique stories that make up the diverse fabric of Pennsylvania.
50 episodes! Wow, what a feat! I'm sure you know by now, but the 50 mark is something America 250 PA finds quite special. My name is Sydney Harris. I'm your host, and I want to take a special moment to thank you, our listeners, old and new, for helping us get here. This podcast exists to explore the stories that shaped our nation, and it's your curiosity, your submissions, and your passion for Pennsylvania that keep us going. So, for this milestone episode, we're heading to a place where early American history came alive in a dramatic, defiant fashion, Washington, Pennsylvania. You might know the name David Bradford. He was a well-known attorney and deputy attorney general until he became one of the leaders of the Whiskey Rebellion in 1794, the first major test of federal authority in the new United States. Today, his home still stands as a living history site, thanks to the Bradford House Historical Association and their incredible work to preserve not just a building, but the full story of resistance and revolution in the early republic. Joining us to share that story is Tracie Liberatore, Executive Director and CEO of the Bradford House Historical Association. From immersive tours to the award-winning Whiskey Rebellion Festival, Tracie and her team are proving that local history has national weight and that preserving the past is essential as we approach America's 250th birthday. And hey, if you're of age, may I suggest pouring yourself an on-theme beverage as we travel back to 1794? We're about to explore the heart of the Whiskey Rebellion. Let's dive in. Tracie, welcome to our show today. We are so happy to have you here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me join.
So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about your role and the overall mission of the Bradford House Historical Association?
I am the Executive Director of the Bradford House Historical Association. The Bradford House Historical Association is a big word to cover a lot of what we do. So I manage the Bradford House Museum, which is a National Historic Landmark, the Visitor Center, which the long words for that is the Whiskey Rebellion Education and Visitor Center, and the Meeting House. So there's actual 3 locations under our umbrella, and we do educational programs. Our biggest program is the Whiskey Rebellion Festival. The mission of the Bradford House Historical Association is to educate on David Bradford, the Whiskey Rebellion, and 18th century living. We fill that mission with lots of partnerships such as Destination Greater Pittsburgh. We're working with the America 250, the Washington County Tourism Promotion Agency, Heinz History Center. There are dozens of organizations that we partner with to make this mission happen.
So let's dive into the Bradford House a little bit. This is quite an important landmark, not just for Washington, PA, but for American history more broadly. What makes it so important?
So Harry Truman referred to the Whiskey Rebellion as one of the top 6 events in American history. I mentioned the Bradford House Museum. That was home of David Bradford, who was a leader in the Whiskey Rebellion. But the Whiskey Rebellion, I tell people, it's not just about whiskey. And to be honest, we don't have any whiskey at any of our 3 sites because we concentrate on education. You know, we have people of all ages from preschool students to, senior citizens. So it's not about the whiskey. The history is that there are many firsts that came out of the Whiskey Rebellion, which people don't realize. The first presidential pardon, the first use of federal force, the first test of powers granted to the federal government by the Constitution, the first excise tax, and the first time federal troops fired upon U.S. citizens. So the short answer to your question is there is so much history in our area.
Wow, there really is. So I don't even think I realized all of that. So just to know that that all happened in Washington, Pennsylvania is quite fascinating. And we're so happy to have you here talking about that. And so I'd like to talk about David Bradford a little bit. He was a respected lawyer and political figure in the region before becoming a central figure in the Whiskey Rebellion. What led him from public office to leading a protest movement against the federal government?
So we understand that David Bradford was a man of the people. He was a Democrat, Republican. He believed in states' rights and individual freedoms. David also had a farm in 84 PA, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh, and he owned many properties. He was a representative for the area, which was Washington County. So he was very involved in the region. So the time frame of the rebellion was 91 to 94, but it started off peacefully. It wasn't always a protest. It started off with peaceful meetings in 1791 and 1792. He tried getting them to waive the tax, reconsider, and more as his petitions were not answered, he became more vocal and more fiery, or feisty is the word. But it was believed that over time, he started off peacefully and then he finally just went to extreme speeches.
How does the Bradford House Museum help tell this story? Not just through exhibits and interpretation, but through the space itself. Are there elements of the home that helps visitors connect with the world that Bradford lived in?
Yes, absolutely. The Bradford House is furnished in the style of the Federal era. Though none of the actual artifacts, the items in the house were David's, there are many antiques from that time period that show the lifestyle of a wealthy frontier attorney or businessman. That's one of the top questions we get when people come in for a tour of the Bradford House Museum is, oh, what was David's? Well, there's actually nothing in the house that was David's, but the house is a 2-story house. And you can come in and see on the first floor of the house, there is a parlor and a dining room. Those are the rooms that show how he entertained his clients, going back to the fact that he was a lawyer in the 18th century. The second floor of the house shows the master bedroom, the children's room, but know that the kids actually lived on the farmhouse, not in his grand stone house on Main Street. There's a ladies' parlor, which shows 18th century clothing and what it takes to make that clothing. So those are the 2 stories of the museum. And then behind the museum is what we call our outdoor kitchen cabin. That shows how food was prepared during the 18th century. We even do cooking demonstrations the last Saturday of each month. Everything we do is centered around education. So if you come to a cooking demonstration, we're going to tell you what food we're using, why we're using it, and how it was grown and what season.
That is so amazing. And I also hear that you have costumed interpreters and as you said, period accurate rooms. You've created a really fully immersive experience. What do you hope visitors take away from stepping into this pivotal moment in American history?
All of our docents are dressed in 18th century attire. So when they get up to that ladies' parlor and they're showing you the clothing, they'll explain to you why they're in their attire. It goes back to what we hope that they will step away with is awareness. We work with local schools to provide annual field trips for their students. The other thing that we have found when it comes to looking at education is many of our local K-12 schools have eliminated or reduced the time spent on American history. We had a school that used to visit us from a neighboring community. They would come every year and bring their students, and usually the kids who come to learn are 3rd, 5th, or 8th grade. Seems to be where this fits, where our time period fits in American history. We were working with this local school, and after 5 years of coming to us, we got a call and said that this history portion was eliminated from their curriculum. So we are just offering an avenue for the teachers and the school districts to learn hands-on. We show them that history can be fun, and this historic event happened right here.
And that is incredible because, as you said earlier, and as you mentioned, that this is often regarded as one of the top 6 events in U.S. history, and it happened right in their backyards. And so for your organization to put care into making sure that students can come and see their history is quite impactful. And so thank you for that. The Education and Visitor Center expands on this history in powerful ways. What kind of experiences or exhibits does it offer that even go beyond the walls of the Bradford House Museum?
The great thing about the 2 locations is that they're totally different. We talked about the Bradford House being a National Historic Landmark that depicts how they lived in the 18th century. And there's so much to educate people on as they walk into those doors. But when you walk across the street to the Visitor Center, it's a walking timeline of the events, people, and places. So it's not a house. It is a visitor center with text panels and items throughout. The timeline gives you the causes, precedents, and results of the rebellion. There are artifacts that belong to rebels in the visitor center. We have a cage bar exhibit that shows how taverns locked up their alcohol at night. There's a whiskey distilling display that shows how whiskey was made. We have receipts and vouchers from the Federal Army's deployment in Western Pennsylvania in the winter of 1794 and 1795. We have 1794 newspapers that show the news during the Whiskey Rebellion. And there's artwork that provides visual context. So it is 100% Whiskey Rebellion education.
And in the context of America 250, why do you think that the Whiskey Rebellion still matters today and will matter 250 years from now?
History matters, plain and simple. When you visit the Visitor Center, you read the panels, the titles, the quotes, you see a connection and in some places parallel to today. The Whiskey Rebellion started because of a tax. People are still fighting taxes today. There are Friends of Liberty and Friends of Order, just like today. History teaches us so much, and for the local folks, it is important for them to see what happened in their hometown. We tell visitors that they can open the front door of the Bradford House or put their hands on the mahogany staircase railing, that they are touching history. Both of those items, the front door and the staircase, are original to when the house was built in 1788.
And so we've talked about the Whiskey Rebellion in a historical context, but I'd love to talk a little bit about your Whiskey Rebellion Festival. It's a creative, community-driven way to share history. What can visitors expect?
The Whiskey Rebellion Festival is our largest educational program. And I say it's history, history, history. There are history groups with information tables. These same historians kick off a Saturday morning of the festival. This is an annual festival. It's always the second weekend in July. The historians march down Main Street, hooting and hollering. Their favorite thing to say is huzzah. You can learn to make things like corn husk dolls. There's historic street theater. What they do is they act out scenes detailing the Whiskey Rebellion. We have demonstrators who show 18th century skills. You can walk through the Washington Courthouse, the Bradford House, the Visitor Center, and come back another day for a full tour because we don't have time to give guided tours during the festival. There are children's activities that can be found at the Bradford House and the Meeting House. There are children's musters, children's games, chores, broom dancing. Of course, like any other festival, there's music, shopping, food trucks, and of course we have whiskey. But we like to concentrate on history more than your typical festival. I get calls all the time from local businesses. We love local, but it's not a place for displays for selling of commercial products. It's not a place for politicians to come and march. We would rather focus on history for this event.
And what's it like to plan a festival that combines reenactments, theater, music, food, and, as you said, education and history? How does it bring history to life in a different way than in your typical museum setting?
Honestly, it is so much fun. I love what I do. I love the programming. In 2024, we had 7,000 people attend the Whiskey Rebellion Festival. I am a list person, and there are many parts of the festival. thinking of the Bradford House Museum, which is open throughout the year, it has limitations based on size. It's a National Historic Landmark. The festival covers the entire city block, so we have a lot more area to play with. The other thing that is great about the festival and keeps people coming back year after year is every year we add new things, whether we're expanding our footprint, we're offering a new activity or demonstrators. We're always looking for ways of improving it, and it's free. The community comes together. We have so many sponsors who help pay for all the things behind the scenes that, if you're running a program, you understand that you need insurance and that you need rentals and stuff like that. But we are able to offer everything free to somebody who comes based on our sponsorships.
Well, that sounds like so much fun. And, you can really tell how much joy you put into planning the festival by the way you talk about it. So thank you for that. And finally, as we approach 2026 and beyond, what are your hopes for the Bradford House, the Education Center, and the Whiskey Rebellion Festival? I know that's a loaded question as they're all quite large things, but how do you see them contributing to the larger Pennsylvania story?
Honestly, our biggest hope, our biggest goal, our biggest vision is national awareness. We have done a tremendous job having the local be aware of what we do. We are a major part of PA and U.S. history. National awareness would bring more people to us, which means more people to PA. 92% of our museum visitors are outside of our local zip code. In 2024, we had over 12,000 visitors from 40 states and 10 different countries. These numbers amaze me and continue to grow every year. That's what we're looking to do, is to bring people to us and into PA and to understand our important history.
Well, Tracie, it is quite important. And so thank you so much for being on our show today and sharing your passion and your work with us.
Thank you for having me.
And just like that, our 50th episode draws to a close. A huge thank you to Tracie Liberatore and the entire team at the Bradford House Historical Association for the work they're doing to preserve, interpret, and share this vital chapter of American history. As we march toward America's 250th anniversary, stories like those of the Bradford House and the Whiskey Rebellion help us better understand the complexities of our founding and the ever-changing experiment in democracy. They highlight the passion of local voices and the ways resistance and reform have shaped who we are today. If you want to learn more, plan a visit, or raise a glass in the spirit of history at the Whiskey Rebellion Festival, head to bradfordhouse.org. And finally, thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us for 50 episodes of curiosity, community, and conversation. We're not slowing down anytime soon. Remember, stay bold, stay curious, and stay PA proud.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassandra Coleman, Executive Director of America 250 PA. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. We encourage you to learn more about America 250 PA and send us your podcast ideas at america250pa.org.
This has been the America 250 PA Start Here, America Did podcast, produced by Commonwealth Media Services. Stay tuned for more epic Pennsylvania stories at america250pa.org.